CNBC-TV18.com presents AI Dialogues, the CEO series in association with IBM.
Welcome to AI Dialogues, the CEO series, a series brought to you by CNBC-TV18.com in association with IBM. I'm Prashant Nair. In our conversation today, we'll explore how leadership, management, and technology are shaping the future of business in India. Now, as industries evolve rapidly, CEOs must strike a balance between driving innovation and maintaining operational efficiencies. We'll look at how leadership decisions are influenced by emerging technologies, the role of digital transformation in enhancing customer experience, and the strategies companies are using to stay competitive in a technology-driven world. From reskilling talent to adopting AI, we'll uncover how these leaders are navigating the changing business environment and positioning their organizations for long-term success. Joining us today are Kamlesh Rao, Managing Director and CEO of Aditya Birla Sun Life Insurance, and Sandip Patel, Managing Director of IBM India and South Asia. Both leaders bring unique perspectives on how to leverage technology and strong management practices to thrive in today's complex business landscape. Gentlemen, welcome to the program. Thank you very much for joining us. Kamlesh, if we can start with you. You've driven Aditya Birla Sun Life Insurance through a rapid phase of growth. How do you balance the need for innovative strategies to drive that growth, but at the same time, maintaining current operational efficiencies and profitability?
You know, the insurance world penetration is extremely low as we speak today. And I think we are increasingly getting into what I call the asset allocation for clients when they have to put money. All our strategies are around bolder products. 2 years back, we bought in a product in the life insurance industry which was comparable to a fixed deposit. Imagine rendering a fixed deposit for 40 years on a platform like insurance, which had surrender value of 100% from year one itself. And then we make sure that what we do is digitally enabled to ensure that the customer is able to buy it off the block. As we speak today, we are competing with, say, a product on the ULIP space, which is linked to the market, which has the cost structure of a mutual fund. All strategies of insurance in the past have been on basically trying to get into the protection space, term product kind of space. But I think increasingly over the last few years, at least in the last 3 or 4 years' time, if we have the right kind of products embedded with the digital tools that we put in, I think it's made a lot of difference for insurance as a segment altogether. When we go to couple it with what customers are looking at, I mean, we don't fill application forms any longer. 80% of the data required on an application form is available in all kinds of public domain. You can port it on your platform today, of course, with customer consents at various points in time. And even the selling process. Today, you'd be surprised that if I've sold a policy to you, you can actually, for a video verification, read what you think you bought. And I actually look at your facial expressions to know whether you understood what you bought to make sure the sale is right. I think you got to do a combination of all of this because finally insurance is a product you bought for 30, 40 years, sometimes for what you want to leave behind. And I think a combination of products along with digital enablement has been at the forefront of the strategy that we've used for rapid growth over the last few years.
Sandip, you've at IBM in a previous role sort of led the insurance vertical. What has been your experience dealing with global insurance clients? And at this moment, generative AI is the buzzword. Are insurance companies using it? In what way? Tell us.
So I think insurance industry has probably been one of the forerunners in terms of using data and analytics. It's a very data-rich industry because every time you price a product, you need a lot of historical data, experience data that actually goes into building products and so on. But let me give you some data points in terms of how both the industry, executives in the industry, as well as customers are looking at artificial intelligence. We recently did a survey of this was a global survey, 1,000 insurance company CEOs and about 5,000 insurance customers in terms of getting an understanding of how do they see this technology called artificial intelligence, what are their expectations from it and so on. What was very interesting is 77% of the CEOs that were surveyed, they recognized that they needed to do something with it or were experimenting in some way, shape or form with it. What was interesting though is it was split in terms of those that saw it as an opportunity. So about 51% saw it as an opportunity, 49% actually saw risks with it.
Right.
On the flip side, when we talk to the customers, it was less about experiences or trying to get, an experience through a chatbot and so on and so forth. They were more interested in getting advice about what kind of insurance they should buy based on their needs and what their risk needs were. And I think this brings us to the kind of solutions that this technology can really get us to. See, as an industry, we have done a brilliant job of mystifying what we actually sell to customers.
Right.
If we demystify that effectively and help customers through this technology to better understand what they are buying, how are they managing the risks, so transparency, explainability of what they are actually buying. My contention is, number one, you will have a much more sticky customer as an insurance company. But on the flip side, what you will also have is a mechanism by which you will be able to cross-sell and upsell the kind of risks that you are delivering. So that is one side of the equation. The other side of the equation is, if you are effective in analyzing data, AI is all about data, right? And today we are seeing a preponderance of data. The data was probably always there. Today we can have machines that can actually read this data. And what the data that I'm talking about is things like sensor data, data that tends to lose relevance within a few nanoseconds after it's created.
Sure.
But if you can capture it at that point of relevance and make sense of it, you can actually change the paradigm of insurance from managing the risk of loss to managing the risk of prevention. If you actually prevent losses before they are happening by the better use of data and artificial intelligence, you can actually convert that into a much different kind of a paradigm and an industry and products that will actually benefit customers a lot more.
Kamlesh, the insurance sector is seeing so much change, especially also in terms of customer expectations, like pretty much every other sector. How do you, as a business leader, redefine customer experience, but at the same time make sure that the long-term value for them remains intact?
Ever since COVID, post-COVID, I think the digital transformation journey for the insurance companies has been pretty rapid, cutting across prospecting, cutting across underwriting, cutting across claims. I'll give examples of sales processes. Like you said, and you asked him the question, is Gen AI working? Today, it's possible to create, a few hundred storytelling pitches that you want to make. AI-enabled tool does that for you. You can create an AI-enabled role play tool where you are actually making a pitch, if I'm making to you, to say, if I'm selling this product to you, what are your possible objections that can come in, and how do I ensure I'm able to handle that? So everything is work in motion to make sure that the process of selling and like Sandip was saying, the demystification we can do significantly better. Today, 60% of the policies that go through with no manual touch. It's based on data, complete data that we have of the industry over the last so many years. We have a bureau now called IIB. CIBIL is the bureau in banking. Models are able to predict whether this is a good life, and therefore they don't need to be do any touch. This case does not require any medical underwriting to be done, therefore it can be a straight-through process. But 60% of the policies that we write don't touch the human eye doesn't touch it, it just goes through a machine process. The proof of the pudding is in claims, right? Finally you bought everything for either the money when the claim comes in or the benefit that you are supposed to pay back to the customer, assuming he is living. Yep. Yeah? Those are automated today. You don't no longer need to come to the nominee today knows when the policy is bought, what she will need to do. It's available in a prescribed form with her. Sure. All she has to do is to send that to the office, assuming a claim has occurred, and the claim gets paid instantly to the bank account statement. These are all things that we do on technology, but something even more closer. I mean, finally, insurance is all about the heart a little bit as much. We did something interesting to say if somebody goes away, we actually plant a tree in the Sundarbans.
Okay.
For in the name of the person who's kind of passed away, and you actually get a QR code, and through the QR code you can monitor the progress of the tree as it grows. Something is growing as a memory for something that you left behind.
Sandeep, IBM has been at the forefront of AI and sort of cloud. We already spoke about it a little bit in terms of how AI can, and Kamlesh also sort of shown the light there. But what are specific end use cases for a sector like insurance from these technologies, in your opinion?
So I think one of them is exactly what Kamlesh was talking about, which is if you can appropriately develop risk profiles of your end customer and demystify the process of buying insurance for them.
Sure.
That and even the study that we just did demonstrated that most of the customers basically said that if there is, it's not, I mean, experience today, it's a given. It's table stakes. Insurance is something very personal. And you interact with the company, the insurance company, a couple of times in your life. One is when you buy insurance because you are worried about the risk, either some loss, property loss, life loss, whatever it is. That is why you buy it. The next time you interact with them is usually when you've actually had a loss, which is very personal, it is traumatic. And at that point, if you can ease how that claim gets paid out, you can show the level of empathy, you can ensure that you understand the circumstances around that customer and what that loss is that has happened. That, I think, humanizing that experience becomes very important. Third, I think the process of underwriting is, I think it's been using data from time immemorial. And you've got to appreciate if you talk to an underwriter, the pride they have in how they assess risk and the mental models they use to underwrite a case, that is huge for them. So what AI, I think, is able to do today is augment human intelligence with data points and analysis that otherwise a human being is not able to process individually all at once.
It was interesting you say that. I like that humanizing part. And it's in a way, if you think about it, it's ironical that we're talking about AI, but at the same time using AI to humanize that sort of, aspect of sort of, claiming, essentially calling in your insurance policy. Kamlesh, now let's talk about scaling the digital side of business. And as you do that, I'm sure it involves a lot of experimentation. Could you tell us an instance where you sort of tried something which did not work? Would be interesting to hear that.
If you look at the insurance, there are only two platforms that basically capture insurance data, and there's only so much that a operating system can do. And we tried doing too much in that area, and I don't know if Sandip agrees with me or no, but I like passion in every part of business, but I keep telling my technology guys that you got to build tech and digital dispassionate, because there's so much that the world is developing that if what you are doing is not great and not up to world standards, you should be able to kill it. So that's been my learning in the whole digital process, that if you can't get the system right, then decouple it. So we decoupled our entire operating system to see everything that we want to do in the main system we are able to do outside right now. So which means more and more customers are able to experiment with what we are able to do, so that they can try, know exactly what they are buying, a part of the demystification process. But Prashant, all this in technology, I think you got to get the culture right. I mean, all of them these days use word agile, and Sandeep will know better. But agility has roots in culture. To say that you should be able to allow two levels people down to be able to make the decision and move on, because they all work in pods. They don't need to come up the hierarchy in the first place. Now, if you don't get that right, there is no way you'll be able to do a agile working process as an organization.
Well, very interesting. Sandip, you and IBM have been a big proponent of ethical AI. Insurance is a highly regulated sector. How important is it to get this right?
I'll I'll make a statement. I'll start with the statement. I do believe that responsible AI is responsible business. And it doesn't matter whether it's insurance or any other industry. In insurance, it becomes even more important because you are dealing with ultimately, people's lives, people's property. You have, and clearly the sort of the fiduciary aspect of being an insurer, which is what the regulations are all about, that becomes really, really critical, right? But relative to AI, and I'll give you another data point. We did a survey recently in the whole area of AI adoption. So we surveyed companies from different parts of the world, different countries. Interestingly enough, India came up at the top in terms of the number of companies that are actually experimenting with AI.
Okay.
59% basically said that they were doing something with AI. However, what was interesting is only 27 or so percent are actually moving from experimentation to scaling. So they haven't scaled.
Okay.
And one of the top reasons why people were actually concerned about this technology is trust. Can you really trust it? Do you know where the data has come from that has been used to build the models? Can you trust the outcomes? Is there hallucinations and others built into it? Are you actually getting the right kind of output? That is what is worrying people. And so I think the notion of responsible AI, so rather than ethical, I'll talk about it as responsible AI, which brings together all of it, is really important. And we actually fundamentally believe that there are 5 key pillars around responsible AI. Number one, it really needs to be explainable. You really need to be able to explain where it's come from.
Sure.
Second, you need to have data provenance. You need to know where the data has come from, whether the data is owned. We have a very clear mandate, and this is something we went out with as a manifesto, that we will never own data and insights of the customer. So data and insights of the customer belong to them. We should not be reusing it for any other purpose. Third, it should be robust. Robust in the sense that you should be able to move it from one use case to the other in terms of an AI platform. Fourth, it should be free from bias. You can't have bias seep into it, right? So it's got to be clear from bias. And then the last one is it should have use cases that are grounded in practical ROI and so on. So this is the way we call it responsible AI. And the way we've built our platform, which is watsonx, is fundamentally predicated on these principles. Because ultimately, I think what we will find is there's going to be regulation. So we get asked about this notion of should we be regulating AI? Our firm belief is we should not be regulating the technology. We should be holding the model makers accountable for the people who build the models. We should be regulating the use cases that are coming out of it. But the actual technology and algorithms, that is not something that should be regulated. Otherwise, we will stifle the innovation happening around it, right? So that is, I think, the way we need to think about responsible AI. The other thing which I think is going to become more and more relevant, AI as a technology will be multi-model by nature. You're going to have multiple models. They will evolve into large models, small models. I think today now we are seeing the era of small models, which are much more affordable, much more fit for purpose, and so on. Those models will continue to get democratized. I think we need to put it in open source and let people experiment and expand those. Where you differentiate is through your use cases. And it needs to be hybrid by design, which means today most of the AI platforms, and we've actually deviated from it a little bit, is you have to bring your data to the AI to get outputs.
Right.
We have actually, in our design, we have actually made it hybrid by design, which means for very mission critical data that you don't want to leave your firewalls, AI will come to your data on-prem and through the private cloud. And I think these are the models that are evolving that will make AI a lot more responsible and a lot more trusted as we move forward.
That's very well put, Sandip. Thank you very much for that very, very insightful discussion. Kamlesh, wonderful hearing from you as well. Thanks, gentlemen, for joining us here.
Thank you.
Well, that wraps up today's episode of AI Dialogues, the CEO series. Through our discussion today, we gain valuable insights into how leadership, management, and technology are coming together to drive growth and innovation in their respective industries. From navigating challenges of scaling businesses to embracing cutting-edge technologies, today's conversation highlighted the importance of vision, adaptability, and collaboration in today's fast-evolving business landscape. Stay tuned for more engaging discussions. Thank you.
CNBC-TV18.com presents AI Dialogues, the CEO series in association with IBM.